Hey, what's up, everybody? I got some stuff this week that I kind of want to hit on. The Lord's really spoke to me about a lot of things, and I've been reading a lot in Joshua, but not just that, but I've been studying a lot about certain things, about how we're supposed to act, and a lot of them, you know, a lot of things that we're supposed to do and how we're supposed to conduct ourselves. I know that may sound strange, but what I mean is there's certain things that, you know, we're supposed to do. I mean, we're commanded, and we see that God, all through the Old Testament, God commanded Moses, and Moses told Joshua, and so on. But the main thing that I'm getting out of that is courageous, and those words are exactly used, which is what he told him to be courageous. God told Moses, and I got a lot of notes here too, so fair warning, this may be a little bit longer than usual, but you know, say Deuteronomy 31:6, I've got it marked down right here. It's Moses, and he's talking to Joshua, and he tells him, he says, so be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid and do not panic before them, for the Lord your God will personally go ahead of you. He will neither fail nor abandon you. And I know in this sense here, Moses is talking to Joshua about the things that Joshua has to do as far as bringing back the things that God had promised the tribes of Israel, that you know, Moses was telling Joshua, don't be afraid, because there's going to be lots of bad things that's going to happen. You're going to have lots of wars, lots of troubles. But we can apply that to our lives too, if we just remember that was something that God had told Moses a long time ago. He had told Moses, you know, you gotta be strong and courageous, and Moses tells Joshua the same thing. And you know, Joshua had a lot more things than we've got going on. But with today's certain society, things that have happened in the last week or so about some things, and as a nation, you know, we've had some things that a lot of Christians are just super upset about, and as we should, but we shouldn't. I mean, we should be, I mean, it's Christian-wise, it's a terrible thing with some of the things that's happened. And I'm not just talking about the homosexual marriage and all that, but I'm talking about a lot of things. But we need to be courageous with our beliefs. We need to be courageous with our thoughts. We need to be courageous with who we are as Christians. And we need to show that to people, so people can see that in us whenever we conduct ourselves, you know. And 1 Corinthians 16:13 says, be on guard, which we have to be on guard in today's society, because there's so many false teachers, so many false things that are pulling us one way or the other, that seem like they could be all right, but they're really not. You know, there's kind of a gray area. We think maybe we can justify it, or maybe we can, or that sin doesn't really apply to us, but it does. It all does. So we got to be on guard. We have to stand firm for when those things do happen, when we do feel the gravitational pull to things that socially seem acceptable, but Christ, as far as Christ is concerned, they're not, but they seem socially acceptable. So we have to stand firm in the faith and know that isn't true. And we have to be, right after that, it says, be on guard, stand firm in the faith, and be courageous. Be courageous, be strong, and do everything with love. So many people are so quick to condemn. If we all wore our sins on the outside of our chest like some people do, it would be a lot easier for people to keep their mouth closed, but we can't. And a lot of times we have that scarlet letter of people know our past, and people know what we're doing right now. A lot of people see those things, and they don't conduct themselves with love, and they don't do everything with love, and we've got to. But 1 Corinthians 16:13, which, I mean, be on guard, stand firm in the faith, be courageous, be strong, and do everything with love. If we can just, if we can apply that, and that's Paul, he's writing to the Corinthians, you know, and Paul's taking the same stuff that God had told Moses, and Moses told Joshua, and so forth and so forth. And, you know, it was wrote, Corinthians was wrote like 1,500 years after Joshua and Moses and all that. And so obviously it played an important role. If those exact words, strong and courageous, can make it 1,500 years and still mean so much to the new Christ, to the new church that follows Christ in the Corinthians, you know, if those words can mean so much 1,500 years later, why can't they mean so much 2,000 years, you know? It's obviously important, is what I'm getting at. It's obviously important that we be strong and be courageous. And I don't mean that in just the sense that we gotta be rude or crude or push our beliefs off on people, because I mean, everybody's not going to believe what we believe, and that's fine as long as we're doing what we're supposed to be doing and what God calls us to do, which is be on guard, stand firm, be courageous. You know, we just got to remember that we can't back down in these times, no matter what it is. It doesn't matter what it is. If Christ says it's wrong, it's wrong. It doesn't matter what society says. And so many people are losing sight. So many people are getting things blurred in between. You know, we're letting things interweave. Well, it seems like it's going to be okay because, you know, Christ didn't hit on that too much. Well, you know, all sin's the same. Yeah, God sees sin the same, and I believe that. But it doesn't mean that we have to condone one, and that's not right. And I hope people don't think I'm using the Oilfield Gospel as you know, I mean, it's a small platform that the Lord has blessed me with to share things that He tells me, and I hope someone doesn't think that I'm using that as as something to condemn homosexuality, which is a big deal this last week, which is probably why it was on my mind, because that's not it. Which I do condemn it. I don't think it's right, but I don't condemn the sinner, and nobody else should, because 16:13 of 1 Corinthians tells us to do everything with love. We should love those people, tell them we love them, invite them to church, pray with them, talk to them. It doesn't matter what they do. They wear their sin on the outside. We can see their sin, but but people can't see ours, and we have to remember that. I mean, we're no better than anybody else. We got to remember to do things with love. I hope it's made sense. Sorry for it to be long. There was a lot more. I've got gobs of notes, and I had tabs right here that I wanted to share, but I know I'm carrying on, and I try to make these short because I know our time's pretty important to us. I'd like for everybody to just look up, if you've got a concordance or whatever, look those up. Courageous, look it up and find where it talks about it in the Old and the New Testament, and read the front and the back of those verses. Don't just take the single verses. You know, a lot of times we pick and choose verses, but if you understand the backstory of where those verses come from, it's even better. You know, it sounds sweet whenever you read something in Joshua, which, I mean, you read something and it sounds sweet just in a single verse, but whenever you read the backstory to why it's being said and who it's being spoke to, it's even more. So you might check that out. The main verse that I really actually wanted to use wasn't 1 Corinthians 16:13. I was going to use Joshua 1:6 through 6 through 9. And there's a couple of things in there that I wanted to hit on. So we'll probably talk about that next week, Joshua. But I hope everybody has a good week. Sorry again for the length. Pray for our country. There's so many things going on right now that we need prayer. We need to love each other. Even though we don't see eye to eye on things, we need to love each other. Not approve of our wrongdoings, but love each other. I hope everybody has a good week. Thanks again, and I'll talk to y'all next week.